So hello, business change makers. Sandra Medefrey here with another episode and an amazing guest today who is quite an inspiration to a lot of us as I watch her growing and developing her business and helping lots of others develop their business as well. So I'd like to introduce you to Lorene Roberts. Lorene, how are you today?
Oh, good. This is great. Normally I'm on the other side of the interview, and this is really nice to be on the back end. Okay.
Absolutely. It sure is when it's your turn to be interviewed. So, Lorene, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about you, a little bit about your background and what it is that you do?
Well, I am a serial entrepreneur. I think you put that in your marketing. I am a serial entrepreneur. I was 17 and I needed to save up for my first car, and I started an Avon business. And from there, it never really ever stopped. And going out and getting a job for me is like what and doing what everyone else tells me I have to do. I don't do it very well. You know, I like working for myself. I love the flexibility of it. So I've been doing that all my life, really. Yeah. You know, I went on from Avon to Tupperware, dragging kids around with me. I went on to family daycare business. I've even had an ostrich farm. Would you believe that?
An ostrich farm, that sounds interesting. No, I can believe it with you.
Yes.
So absolutely. And you know what? You know, there are some, I really believe that some of us are just not cut out to be employees. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No.
And I have been an employee as well, absolutely. But whenever I've been an employee, I've always been in more senior roles. Which is really interesting. And I think some people are, you know, it's just the way we tick. So.
Oh, absolutely. Look, I love working my own hours. I love being flexible. I love being flexible as a mother and as a grandmother. Absolutely. So you're never going to get an appointment with me, or very rarely get an appointment with me at 3 o'clock, because the kids might say, can you pick the grandkids up from school? And I want to be free then. Okay. But I'm also, it's quite possible that at 11 o'clock at night, I'm still doing stuff on my computer, but I haven't done anything all afternoon because I've been with the grandkids. And I love that flexibility. To me, that's just absolutely king.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're your top priority. That's what's important to you. And, you know, it's really, I love the fact that you've actually said that, because I think it's really important that everyone actually knows what their highest values are in life in general, you know, because your values, what's important to you the most, will always win out. So if you can actually work out what is the most important values to you and what area of your life is the most important, you actually never become conflicted, because you actually can work around it to make it work.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's exactly what you've done.
Yeah.
So I love you. You also have a podcast. Tell us about the podcast and tell us about the sort of guests you have on there and your ideal clients as well.
Oh, look, I love my podcast. It is just, look, to me, it's really a great way of giving back to women, because I interview, like you, really inspirational women who've done amazing things in so many different varieties. So there's about 3 or 4 health ones on there, but not just normal health. You know, I've talked to someone about the gut health, which is a major issue. I've spoken to someone about diabetes, which is another issue for women. I've spoken to someone else about vaginal health. Believe that one or not. It was really interesting because we don't talk about that. No. I've spoken to someone on menopause, but then I also do the business ones. And then I've come on of late and done mindset ones, because also to me, mindset is just so incredibly important for not only business owners, but everyone in general. Mindset is just king for everything. If you want to have a successful business, you really have to have the right mindset. If you
100%.
want to have a successful life and be happy, you have to have the right mindset. So I talk a lot on mindset as well.
100%. I often say to people that it doesn't, I can give you the best strategies that I have in my toolbox, but if your mindset isn't where it needs to be, those strategies are worth nothing. So I agree with you 100%. Mindset is king. It really is. And 80% of everything that we do is mindset, and what we believe to be, what we believe we conceive. And the more I think about that, the more I see that come to fruition more and more every day. So absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the sort of clients. I know you work with women, so tell me a little bit about the sort of women you like to work with.
Look, I love working with women who are reinventing themselves, starting again, starting a business, and just, I know the feeling when I've bought businesses and you walk in on your first day and you think, what do I do? I don't know what to do. That's the sort of women that I like to work with. And other women really suffer with procrastination, and they just don't know how to get themselves going. They don't know. They just don't have the confidence to go, okay, rightio, here we go. Now I need to do this, and this.
Yeah.
That is my dream, because to me, that's really basic stuff and really easy. Yeah. So I figure that they get my best skills because that's what I'm good at.
Yeah.
Getting you going. Yeah.
When it comes to procrastination, I'd love your viewpoint on this, because I have always said that procrastination is a mask for fear of failure or fear of success. And it can be either one. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, it can be, but it can also be, I don't know what to do.
Okay.
And the fear of, I don't know what to do. Am I doing the right thing? The fear of moving forward. Maybe that is failure. There is
making a mistake.
Yeah, there's lots and lots of reasons for procrastination. That I don't think you can say it's one thing necessarily. It's a multiple lot. And you need to look at the individual person to see exactly what is it that's stopping them. Or it could be someone in the background saying, you can't do this, you'll never succeed. What are you doing that for?
Yeah. Absolutely. But 100%. And I find when it's a fear of something, there's always that fear that keeps you stuck there. And absolutely, it would be something different for everyone. And I do hear you when you say someone in the background saying, what are you going to do? One of the things I really want to touch on with you, which I think is really great for you and I to touch on, is older women. Because we're...
Me?
Okay. Or should I say mature women, right? Because we are in that space, right? And it might be hard for the younger generation to understand what I'm going to say right now, but we come from a different generation when it was different, although we talk about, being independent, women's lib, all that sort of stuff. It was very different for us growing up to how it is now. And it's not that we're mega generations away, but it is very different. And there seems, I don't know about you, I'd love to get your opinion on this, but I find that there is some stereotyping of us, and something that I'm really working towards showing women that you don't need to be stereotyped, because I've definitely broken that mold.
Oh,
and so have you.
Absolutely broken the mold. Yes, very much so. It's interesting though, Sandra, when I look back, because my girls they put labels on me and say all sorts of stuff. And I really am going back and looking at, my own beliefs and the way that we were raised. Our attitudes were different, and there's things that I'm still struggling with, you
Okay.
know, and things that I know I have to change, but I'm still struggling with, you know. And I was thinking this the other day, you know, if we walk down, we wouldn't walk down the street with the miniest of mini skirts on and not expect to get wolf whistled at. And
Yeah.
for us, in some ways, that was a compliment. All the boys
Yeah.
are noticing us. Woo, woo, woo.
Yeah.
The girls today say, how dare you do that? You don't have a right to wolf whistle at me. And
Yeah.
I think, but you dress like that. What do you expect? And that's my attitude, which goes back generations probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I look at that and I know that my attitude needs to change, but I don't know how to change my attitude when it's ingrained in there that if you don't want problems to happen, don't dress like that. Don't behave like that. Don't,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
That was what was instilled in you. But
Yeah.
I know how we can change that.
Yeah.
It's just some limiting decisions.
Limiting.
But we were given different messages, and not because people were bad or anything like that. That's just the way we were brought up. And it is sometimes really difficult to break the mold. I mean, I know for myself that, you know, my journey, there's been a lot of people when I started this that went, what are you doing? And I just went, I don't care what anyone says, I'm doing it. And because it's like, you know, they expect that at a certain age, you know, like, I don't know, what are we supposed to do? Just roll over and die or what? You know, but that's how people are. And that's how our generation was, because our mothers were like that.
No, see, I was probably a little bit different. You said that I don't have a problem with.
Oh, okay.
That I don't necessarily had a problem with, because I think my parents were both in business.
Uh-huh.
And look, I went to one of the top private schools in Melbourne, and most of my friends' parents were in business.
Okay. A little bit different then.
So, yes, my mindset on that is different.
Yeah.
Where dressing and behaving and stuff like that, I have to recognize it before I can change it. And that's the thing. And that's what you know, my girls hit me and I go, oh God, okay, I must address this and work out what it is that I'm believing.
Yeah.
But no, belief that I can do it, I think I got from my parents.
Very much the opposite to mine.
Yes.
Very much the opposite to mine. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. And I do agree. You know, you know, the one thing that I think is really good, Lorene, is the fact that you're actually recognizing that you have those beliefs. And I think once you become aware of them and start recognizing them, it's all about, you know,
recognizing them. Yeah.
Bringing them up. And, you know, and and I'm going to go back to my absolutely most favorite quote, which is my Carl Jung quote: once you make the unconscious, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. But I think once you become aware of something and you become aware and you say, why have I got these sorts of beliefs? These are they really my beliefs? They start to shift, you know, on. So I do want to talk to you also a little bit about holistic living and business, because that's what we said we were going to chat about. So I'd love to talk a little bit about your view and what you can, you know, tell the viewers and the listeners, because this goes, as you know, this goes in many places.
What is holistic?
What is holistic living and holistic business?
Okay, I think the word holistic is different for everybody. I think it is absolutely different for everyone. For me, it means spirituality. For me, it's about living and also living a natural life. So holistic can also be good food, quality food, not medicating yourself to the, you know, nth degree. Holistic means living a good spiritual life. Yeah, that's basically what it means to me.
Okay. So
That's
can I
probably
ask
hasn't
you
even
when
answered it at all, has it?
no, no, okay, so tell me, what does spiritual mean to you? Like when you say a spiritual life, I get the natural part, good food, as you know, not putting poisons into your body, whichever way. But when you say spiritual, what do you mean by that?
It's interesting. I have a prayer in my toilet that I read out when I go to the loo. I mean, where else would you put a prayer? And my daughter went in there the other day and she said, "And when do you believe in God?" And I said, "I've always believed in God. God is a lot of things." And she went, "Oh," and that ended that conversation.
Yeah.
So spiritual to me is God was the term that was used in the prayer, but it's more the universe, the universal. It's energy, it's vibration, it's really hard to describe, but it's a feeling, a knowing. It's listening to your soul.
Yeah.
It's trusting, believing in your soul. It is, yeah. Have I described it well?
Yeah. The way I would describe that is the understand, the knowing, the absolute knowing that there's something more than what you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably, or that there's more to us than what we see.
Yes.
That's how I would describe it. And you know,
Yes.
a lot of people get caught up on that word God. The word God was created through many religions, but God means different things to different people.
Yeah.
It's another word that means, you know, and a lot of people say, I don't believe in God. It's universe or whatever, and that's fine as well. It's just something bigger than what you are.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what my daughter was caught up on, that word, that one word.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I went to say to her, "But you are God and I am God." And I thought, she's not going to get that at all. It's going to be well and truly over the top of her head.
Yeah, but I think that's because we grew up with the religious connotation of what God is, and
Yeah.
so that's why it has that meaning to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that brings me back to something, you know, because often when I talk about spirituality, and you know, a lot of people say, how do you believe something you can't see, right? And one of the best answers I ever heard for that was someone say, "Can you see, I'm talking to you on Zoom right now. We're going live into a Facebook group. This is going to go out onto YouTube. It's going to be in a podcast soon. Can you see how that happens? Can you see those waves? Or when your phone rings, can you see how the voice travels to the phone? You can't see that either, but you believe in it." And I went, I never thought of it like that, but what a great answer that was.
And you see, and I would have described it as, you know how there are atoms and molecules and things, and they all vibrate.
Yeah.
And nothing is solid. We're taught that nothing is solid. But to me, you know, everything, you know, my mouse is solid. Everything that I have is solid. I can't see anything vibrating, but we know it does.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only because it vibrates at the same frequency as we do. That's why it's solid matter. And I think is it Eckhart Tolle that talks a lot about that sort of subject?
Yeah, he's one person I don't follow, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Very hard. He's very wise, but very difficult to listen to. So, you know, but I'm pretty sure that's who said that. And it's interesting because to me, holistic means everything: mind, body, spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. But Sandra, if we just rub our hands together, rub, bring up the energy, you can feel the energy between your hands.
100%.
Yeah. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Well, we can't see electricity really, can we? Until it lights up something.
No.
How would you tell someone to live a holistic life and business?
Probably be true to themselves. That's the bottom line. You have to be true to yourself.
Okay.
You have to accept everybody else for who they are.
Yes.
And judgment is a very interesting word, but try very hard not to judge them for their opinions, accept them for who they are.
Yeah.
And that's what a holistic life's about.
Yeah.
You know, it's about seeing people for their essence and being your own true essence.
Yeah, which sometimes can be very difficult to do.
Oh, exceptionally difficult to do.
Yeah. One of my mentors said to me once, every time you point a finger at someone, there's 3 pointing straight back at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in NLP, we say perception is projection, and it's a Carl Jung. Again, I love Carl Jung. It's one of his little sayings. One of the things that he said is that you cannot perceive anything in someone else that does not exist inside of you. So
exactly.
Every time the person who probably you judge the most or irritates you the most is actually showing you the stuff that you hate most about yourself. Because I think when it comes to judgment, I really believe that the reason why we do that, you know exactly what I'm about to say, is because we are everything, right? There's nothing we're not. Anyone who says they don't this and they don't that, that's not true. We're everything. And it's if you cannot accept that you have everything, you know, whether you think it's good, bad, ugly, whatever you want to think about it. I mean, I don't know who tells us something's good or bad, but anyway, you have that as well. And if you can't accept that inside yourself, what happens is your unconscious mind, because you're so at a level of unease with that, it actually projects it from the outside so that you can see it, so that you can accept it yourself. So yeah, 100%.
And it's funny, my mother was probably the most judgmental person I'd ever met in my life. And when she died, I actually realized that she knew nobody, because I was too scared. She didn't know me. She had no clue who I was, because I was too scared not to be perfect around her.
Wow.
But I couldn't be me. And then I started feeling sorry for her. And then I realized that I had, from an adult, basically had decided that I was not going to be like her. I was not going to be judgmental. And I was the least judgmental person of anybody on this earth. And then I suddenly realized that, oh my God, to be non-judgmental, I had to judge and change it. So I was constantly judging, and I was probably far more judgmental than she was, because I was so conscious of it that I'd judge and pull away.
You resist, persist. So what are some tips that, for anyone who's listening, what are some tips that you can give them to create this holistic life where they are being true to themselves? And, you know, when you're true to yourself, you're congruent, you're happy. So what are some tips that you can give anyone who's watching or listening to this?
Probably, well, going back into judgment is probably let go of the judgment, acknowledge that you do it, but don't sweat the small stuff. You know, it's like, yeah, okay, I do it, and I'm perfectly fine the way I am, and it doesn't matter. So it's like, surrender it, acknowledge it, surrender it, and it's okay, and it's fine.
And how can people learn, because this is a big one, how can people be more true to themselves? How, especially, I think sometimes in business, I find that sometimes in business, people can sometimes be more true to themselves than in their life, because in their life, you know, we're talking about our loved ones.
Yeah.
So what are some tips that you would give people on how to be your true self?
Okay. I think that a lot of that is you have to learn how to do it. You have to be open and put it this way. There's a few things that I do every day, and I think having a daily routine helps a lot with that. So my gratitude practice changes your mindset.
Yep.
So every morning I sit down and write out my gratitudes. And I look for what is amazing. Sometimes it's the same stuff every day because I'm sitting here listening, thinking, what is it? Listen to those birds, listen to them. And I hear the birds. I don't know. And I must really love birds because that often comes up.
Yeah.
And I have crystals and I sit there and I stare at them. I'm thinking, oh, they're beautiful. Oh, they've got some gorgeous colors and, but it changes your mindset from, oh, what am I going to, what an amazing world we live in. And how lucky am I? And sometimes it is, how lucky am I to have a toaster that I can make a piece of toast for breakfast?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be huge, and it can be literally as simple as having a toaster, having lemons on my tree that I can make a lemon drink every morning. Just changing the person that I am and getting out of that stress is really, really important. Yeah. So that's one thing. I also journal a lot, and I journal, and I call it soul writing.
Yep.
And if you've never done soul writing, you ask yourself a question, and if you have never done it, I would suggest you use your non-dominant hand. So for me, being a right-handed, is my left hand, and you write. And if you're left-handed, then you use your right hand. But it actually, your brain is so busy practicing the writing that what comes out is really quite profound at times. Yep. And sometimes I look at my soul writing and I go, where the hell did I get that from?
Yeah.
That's another really important practice that I do.
Yeah.
Most days, most days. Not 100% there. And if, in actual fact, no, I go through periods where I might only do it 5 days a week, but then I do it 7 days a week.
Yeah. Well,
if I'm really, and if I'm worrying, and if I'm worrying about something, then you should see what comes out. It's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's another practice that's really important. I set my intention every morning, and I have my to-do list. My to-do list is, and I run classes on to-do lists and getting yourself in action. That's really important for me. It's probably not holistic, but it actually keeps me focused. And the focus is something that is important to me. Yeah. So, it's having really good, meditation is another one.
Oh, yeah, that's the big one.
It's, listening to music and dancing. It's really important at times when you're not feeling great to stick the music on. Yeah. Change the way you're thinking, change your mindset, change the parameters of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You've got to do something to break that state, or else you're just going to go down that slippery slope. Very quickly.
And I think once you've practiced a lot of spiritual stuff, the slippery slope, you recognize it coming. Yeah. And you go, okay, I'm feeling like that. Right. Okay. Yep. I'm sad. That's good. Right. Back up again. Yeah. And you hit the bottom, and then you rebound that quickly that you back up again. Yeah. It's when you don't have these practices that you go down that rabbit hole, and you're sitting in the bottom of a well and you can't climb out. Yeah,
absolutely. We need to be able to go into the tools in our toolbox. So before we finish, could you tell us, you just mentioned something about to-do list classes. I'm very curious about those. Tell me a little bit more.
To-do list classes. Yeah, look, at the moment, I'm still establishing them, but it's a Monday morning class.
Nice.
And the idea is that you come along, you do a meditation, you meet some people, so you do a little bit of networking as well. Then we sit down, we visualize our goals, and we actually work out what we're going to do. Now, everyone's working on their own stuff, so it's literally sit there and work out exactly what you need to do. Because if on a Monday morning you don't organize your week, by the end of the week, you won't have done what you needed to have done.
100%. 100%, yeah.
And look, sometimes Monday's list gets put onto Tuesday, and that's okay. And sometimes it gets put onto Wednesday, and that's okay too. We don't beat ourselves up, but we know we're shifting it. And then sometimes we can write it on Monday, and Wednesday comes along and go, nah, that's not right. So we can change it and up and down it.
Yeah.
But we've got something that we're working towards. Really important little step.
Yeah, absolutely. You need to know where you're going.
Mm.
You know, when you jump in the car, you don't just drive off blindly, do you? You always need to know. You know, I use the GPS metaphor.
Yep.
Right? If you use your GPS, you're going, where are you going? And people forget that. You need to have an intention. And because of, and I've spoken about this before, we've got the reticular activating system in the unconscious mind. Whatever, if you don't ask for an intention, the unconscious mind will take you where it thinks based on your past, not where you actually want to go.
Exactly.
So you have to, but if you tell it where you want to go, it actually starts looking at things to get you there.
Yeah, exactly. And the percentage of people that actually have lists and actually have goals and actually have direction is really, really small. And those people, it's only a small percentage that actually put it into practice that actually succeed, which is really scary.
Yeah. Well, in the Business Secrets for Changemakers group, which we're currently going live in there, on Mondays is the set goals day. So it's the same sort of thing. What's your goals for the week? You don't need to have 100 goals, just one that you can achieve. I mean, I've come home from Sydney today, and I've set a couple of goals now moving forward. There's a few things that I'm going to, over the next couple of weeks, sort of let people know that I'm doing. So, but you know, if I want to achieve or get something done, I have to set a goal. I have to know what my week looks like, or else I tell you what, we'll get to the end of the week and nothing will be done.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, sorry, go continue.
And that's why you're successful. And that's different. And other people that aren't successful look at you and they go, oh, isn't she lucky? Oh, it's all just come to her, hasn't it? And it's not like that at all.
No, it hasn't been like that at all.
But it's true.
They do. It has been to this point a lot of hard work, but like I said the other day, yesterday actually, because it all, you know, the actual graduation happened yesterday. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
So, and it has been a lot of planning, because to be able to take the amount of time off that I needed to take over the last 5 years and sometimes fly to Sydney, you need a lot of planning for that. And, and even, you know, to think that my daughter's getting married in a month, but I still went to Sydney for 3 weeks. You know, because how? Because it's all planned out. It's all planned out. In the background, it doesn't just happen like that. No. It's just all planned out. And it's not about making, this is the other thing, I think sometimes people make too many goals or too unrealistic goals. And that's where things fall flat. And for me, it's not about these big goals every week. It's about little stepping stones every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you're right. People set huge goals. They can't achieve them. So therefore they feel like they're failures, where the failure was in the goal that they set in the first place.
Yeah, exactly right. Not in what they did. Absolutely. And that's something, again, you know, because I listen to so many podcasts, read so many books, someone once said, and now I use this in my teaching, we overestimate what we can do in 12 months and underestimate what we can do in 5 years. So, you know, when you create goals, they must be absolutely
achievable,
realistic and achievable, that you can actually get there in that time frame that you've set. And you know what? Slow and steady wins a race.
Absolutely. And I think that's if it doesn't happen today, that's okay. It can happen tomorrow.
Exactly right.
And then Friday reevaluated. Did I need to have done those things I haven't done? Okay, I'll put them onto next week's. If not, I can cross them off. That's okay.
Yeah.
The other thing that you actually have actually alluded to there is also having a balance in your life.
100%.
You have to have balance in your life. You have to plan time out.
Yes.
You know, so when you say planning it, it's about planning your balance.
Well, I plan my time out first and then work around it. And as of next week, I'm not I just got to decide, and I think it's going to probably be a Wednesday, that I will no longer be working on Wednesdays, because I will let everyone know when the time is right. I need more Wednesdays for me. And absolutely, but when I do put my time management, my planner together, the first thing I block out is all my time out, and then I fit everything else around it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is so important, or else we end up with burnout.
Yeah, exactly. And we also end up with resentment and bitterness because we haven't done that.
Yeah, exactly right. And you're more productive when you look after yourself first.
Yeah, very true.
You really are, because you filled your cup and you turn up to work with 100%. With absolutely 100%, because you filled your own cup. But if you can't run on an empty battery. So, that's another thing that people don't realize.
Yeah. All
right. Well, what we will do is, if anyone wants to contact you, they can absolutely contact me, and I can put them in contact with you, or find you all over social media.
You can find me on Facebook.
Yeah, because
that would be wonderful. Have a listen to the podcast. There's some really interesting. Actually, the last week was we were talking about travel, which is my next other passion. I love travel. So I was talking to a travel agent about women traveling.
Yeah. Beautiful. I love travel as well. And going through Sydney and Melbourne airport today, it was chaos. There was people everywhere. Like there was, it's all happening again. So it's fantastic.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being my guest today. I really appreciated you being here, and I love talking about topics that are a little bit off center. Just to what I say is, it's always good to open people's minds a little bit and seed a few little things in there that might be able to help them moving forward.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate it.